Hello folks, this is Anne-Marie and we are looking at SPY, the IWM, and Qs trading the levels here together and taking a look at a wide angle view. First, we've got a big gap up pre-market, and this is the evening of September the 2nd that I am doing this video. It's 11:05 Eastern Standard Time. And we are looking at this gap. Now, where should the gap come into? If it's a massive gap like it looks like it's going to be, it looks like it's going to come into that 166.10 area. Could be a little noisy until 166.20 something. And then it should go up into the base of the gap. So that's the general trajectory. If it comes up into the region, though, and rejects and begins to move down and then fills the gap completely but does not move back up, it is telegraphing a lower low. All right. Now, we have spoken a little bit about this. So let's do it once more. I don't want things to be super messy or whatever, but we look at the Fibonacci right here. And I am still suggesting that we have further down to go. You know, if we're building something really aggressive or sideways, whatever, we could come into 78.6. And indeed, you see where this 200 is? You know, the rule suggests that 50% traverse between these two levels does make for a very likely test of this region. So far we got pretty good negative action overall, but this gap up is going to inflect both of these levels tomorrow morning. All right, so that ought to be pretty interesting overall. Just wanted you to have a look at that fib. In essence, it is going to make a difference. Notice we're sitting at the 50 right now, and if we fail to recapture this region right here, right? If we fail to do that, we are telegraphing a lower low. So we want to pay attention to that and see how that goes. Let's take a closer look in 4 hours. We can see that we do have negative traction, quite a bit of negative traction actually. And down here, the slope is holding. Again, with tomorrow's price action, it's going to be a very sharp move like this, right? The question is, can we hold the move? Or will it fade? If we come in and we start losing the lows of the first 15-minute candlestick, we know we've got trouble. The 50 is here, the 200 is here, the weekly VWAP is here, the monthly VWAP is here. There's a lot of price action here that is shoving this down, so I suspect a move up into this region first, 165.04, and then the fill of the gap, and then potentially the move to the upside. That's what we're looking for. Notice the sideways action here, folks. This is a channel. Trade the breaks. Now here's the problem. When you have gap rules and huge gap actions and they say trade the break, it's going to pop up all the way up over here. And if it pops up all the way up over here, it is going to give us some trouble holding that level. So we've got to watch for it holding this space to see if it fades. If it fades, you know that there's weakness. We're going to fall right back into the channel. That is what I suspect we are going to be looking at longer term in terms of this chart. We are going to have that lazy pullback, and that's going to give us a little bit of trouble. Now, sideways action here. Again, we can see it a little bit more closely on the 1 hour chart. Same sort of thing though. We're going to be gapping through this event, probably colliding into this pivot, and that's going to be the measure of motion that we're going to have to watch for. All right, so sideways action here, that's going to completely reverse because we are gapping up so significantly unless we fade, and then we will be looking at a different set of formations. Right? If we fade, we know that based on the formation, we are looking for the lower low. All right, so watch for the fade of the gap action. The fill in the gap is probably going to be a very nice trade tomorrow. Well, we're just watching to see what's going on. ABCD pattern completed here very nicely with the IWM on the year. Now it's moving down. Here is the large wave we are retracing, sitting also near the 50% mark, but being a bit stronger, not coming into it. Pretty close to the 50. We are probably going to be gapping into that event also, so we want to watch for that. Everything trending downward. It's going to aggressively give us some V-shaped action. It's going to look just like this, right? The markets are giving us this tremendous sections of V-shaped motion, and that does make for difficult trading unless we are ready for it. And when we see things flatten out like this, we say to ourselves, you know what? Probably ought to take some profit. If I am going to stay small short, then I'm going to be very small size exposed to the range of motion, simply because the charts don't always do what they're supposed to according to these SMIs. So we got to watch that. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart here, we're going to see that we're touching the 200, so we've traversed the entire measure. We're going to be gapping up. We should gap into the 50% range, 101.94-ish. If we hold this congestion level, we will move back up into this region. Notice this almost filled the gap. Much stronger formation than the SPY. Much stronger formation than the SPY. SMI is still showing flat to downside momentum, but those will be aggressive moves like this, sharp V-point actions that are going to occur because of these gaps. All right, and so that's what we're going to have to be extremely cautious about, that pop back up into the space. But again, notice this moving downward action here starting to flatten out at the base of the neutral zone, base of the oversold zone. And so it's going to pop back up. If it holds the 0 line, then we know we've got good things ahead. But if we fail the 0 line, just like this one, fail the 0 line, we know we've got more negative price action. The gaps down and gaps up are going to be significantly difficult for us to work through. But again, if we hold the region, we're going to go up and fill the prior gap. And if we hold the region, we're going to go up into prior resistance. And if we hold that region, we're going to fill the gap and go into the next level of resistance. All right, and that is all the way up at 104.45. Am I bullish on the market in general? Yeah. Essentially, I am. But this is a very natural wave retracement that literally could come all the way back down into these regions, even 100%, and still not break the relative trend because the relative trend is so extremely strong. Taking a look here, same kind of formation. See this V? We're going to have another one just like it tomorrow. Just a very sharp action to the upside. Can it hold? That's the question. This thing is holding, but giving us a little bit lower lows from these lower highs. So if we pop up here and we begin to reject, we know it is telegraphing these lower lows into these next levels. We're going to have to watch out for that very, very carefully. I'm very excited about September. I've got to tell you, I'm happy the volume will be moving in. I'm just completely over the summer. I've got to tell you, I am just so done with summer trading. It has just been tremendously noisy. Now, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to wait for things, and you got to wait for them. And here is something that we have got to wait for tomorrow. Probably going to give us some kind of massive gap. If it holds the region, it's got mass acceleration. But look at all these things. Well above the 200, of course. Well above the 50. It's been really outperforming the IWM and SPY. Those guys are sitting underneath their 50. IWM just below it. SPY well into the region. But this one coming in and popping. Look at all of the resistance. We've got the monthly VWAP, the weekly VWAP, the 20, the 30. These things are very, very important from a price action perspective. So can we pop up and hold? That's the measure. We need to use maybe 15-minute, maybe a 30-minute candlestick to help us decide this. Depends on the kind of momentum. I'd start with the 15-minute candlestick, see if it holds the low of wherever it opens. If it opens on the low or comes down a little bit and then comes back up and holds that low, it is going to be telegraphing a reversal of the event, and all of these guys are going to turn and begin to be bullish on the stock, because on the CTF, because it is moving forward and they want to be with everyone else. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. We're going to see that tight action here again. We really are looking for it. First time it did it, it popped out into prior resistance. That would have been a double top region. We made a lower low, but here we come again to hold it. If we make a lower high, it's going to chop right back into the region. Okay, so what we're looking for essentially is a breach out and up over this 77.30-ish level. That's where a swing long, in my mind, is going to open up, maybe above that 77.35 for that action, and that is going to give us a pretty good motion to the upside. Also, if we fade and lose 74.90, then we should have some pretty good downside momentum. Again, being held by the 200, so we've got some things to think about right there. Let's go to the hourly chart finally and see what it is that we're looking at. Please remember that the blog does have these precise levels. They are available there for you. You can also, if you do have a free membership at thetradingbook.com, you can request an upgrade to SPY with no obligation to continue, and we can upgrade you for the month of September. It'll be a great opportunity for you to take a look at these levels and trade some of these things and make some money. So, sideways action here, again, pretty simplistic formation, right? If we want to trade through the gap, we're going to wait for that 76. Trading in here is just going to be very, very difficult in my mind. Right? I expect that to be extremely difficult in my mind, so I won't be touching this. I will not be messing with this at all until it clears this congestion. I have no desire to be involved in a fight where I can't see who's going to win. If I'm going to be involved in a fight, I want to be on the side of the guy who's going to win. All right? And that's how I play the charts. It's just the nature of the game. It's kill or be killed, and as aggressive as that sounds, it is the absolute truth. And so you've got to find your edges. And you can't really find an edge when everybody's competing in the same space and you can't see ahead as to what's going to happen. All right? So overall, looking for the chart to do something this week. It's going to be a very, very interesting month. No doubt about it. Could be interesting to the upside, could be interesting to the downside. Whatever it is, I suspect it's going to be fireworks. Even if it's choppy fireworks, we should have some pretty aggressive movement. All right, folks, good luck trading, and I'll see you tomorrow.